All right, good morning, everyone. Let's kick it off. Okay. Last night's session in the U.S. was a bit of a non-event. You can see there we pushed higher at the beginning of the session. We kind of drifted down to about flatline in the S&P, and we sort of bounced around in a 2 or 3 point range at flatline or above for the rest of the session. Really, very, very, very little volatility. We've actually seen the VIX has dropped all the way back down to 12, which I think is incredibly interesting. That's happened, after this big sell-off in the DAX and then the Nasdaq and then the Russell. And really, there seems to be very, very little fear in the market at the moment, and the volatility in itself between all asset classes right now. The last couple of weeks has really been as low as I can actually ever remember it. So it's just really an interesting time how things have just gotten so quiet and they've just gotten so calm over the last couple of weeks. Maybe the calm before the storm, I don't know. But right now, it's you kind of just can see by the action that nothing's going to happen at the moment. We did have the S&P and the Dow that closed again at all-time highs. Interesting thing was we continued to have more of a divergence in the correlations between the indexes and the sectors. We had the Russell 2000, which sold off over 1% last night. We had Nasdaq that was down about 0.3%, just basically. The underperformers continue to underperform, the outperformers continue to outperform. We did have retail sales numbers that are out yesterday, a little bit soft, but we did have a nice upward revision for the March numbers to 1.5%. So kind of balanced out the miss on the current month. In Asia, we same thing, mixed bag again. We've seen Nikkei down a little bit, Hang Seng trading a little bit better. Sydney was in the red a touch after its budget release. The Kospi is also up a bit. Shanghai basically closed flat, but banks rallied again for a second day on the back of some government reforms. But same sort of thing. I mean, there's just very little. There's not even really anything to look at. So no bother, not going to really bother focusing on anything there. We pulled this chart off of Trader's Corner. This is a seasonality chart on the local for all the local assets between the index, the different sectors on the index, and also the rand dollar, and you can see there it's incredible the discrepancy in certain months, most particularly probably in May, where you can see the resources have outperformed more in May than they have in any other month for the rest of the year. We've already seen that. I wish I would have seen this chart a couple of days ago. But with things like Billies and Anglos running so hard, you also see the rand outperform. This is the biggest month for outperformance in the rand, along with January. So that's also something to really take note of, and that's also played out so far. Everything has been up on average for the month of May, outside of financials, which have underperformed in the month of May, and I think that's important in May and in June. So maybe a nice little look at some cyclicality on what we need to be looking at going forward on our local index for the rest of this month and next month. All right. Another little interesting chart here. This kind of shows the inflection of the yield curve along with recessions and the S&P over time. And what's interesting here is that you can see we've kind of started to move toward an inverted yield curve. I mean, we're nowhere near it, but we've started to. It looks as though we've kind of peaked out. You can see there, if we were to draw a perpendicular line, parallel line along here, along the top, you can see that we've kind of feel like we've topped out a little bit, and we're starting to move back toward more of an inverted yield curve, which obviously has been an incredibly good indicator, pretty much perfect indicator for predicting recessions going in the past. You can see here all these red lines is when the yield curve went inverted, and you can see how quickly right behind each of those, this little shaded area, we had recession. So we'll continue to monitor that sort of thing going forward. Just kind of want to throw it out there so that you understand the significance of it as we see, maybe that's starting to take shape. All right, we got Mondi that just came out maybe just a second ago as we started. I haven't seen anything come through yet. Then we've got Cisco out later in the States, Q3 numbers this afternoon. On the market data front, we had Japanese domestic CGPI numbers, which are a touch better than expected. We've got CPI out of pretty much the entire Eurozone later today. We've got jobless claims change out of the UK as well as ILO unemployment rate. We've got industrial production in the Eurozone, and we've got local business confidence numbers at 11:30. And then later in the States, we've got MBA mortgage apps, we've got retail sales, and we've got PPI final demand. So, but nothing that's probably really going to be too market moving. So, same sort of thing. We'll watch the action or lack thereof, and see if we can take something out what that's telling us. All right, first thing let's look at here is Nedbank on the maps. I'm actually going to zoom this forward, and really what we have here is we made a key reversal there. You can see we basically touched the exact same level. The thing is, we actually traded up here in volume yesterday, up at 240 in Nedbank, which is the same high as the previous day. But the most important thing is we reversed and closed actually below the low of the day before. So definitely made a key reversal in Nedbank. I think that's important because it also came on the back of numbers. So I would say after that move in Nedbank yesterday, if you're going to look to attack one of the banks on the sell side over the next week or two, maybe this should be the one. I mean, it's obviously run incredibly hard. It's probably run harder than most of the others. So the fact that we just got that the key reversal as of yesterday and that came on the back of numbers, I think is really significant. All right, we'll look at SA Breweries here. SA Breweries, I was actually going to show this one yesterday. I just didn't know that it would kind of come into play that quickly. At 550 here, you can see was really where we broke out from. It quite clearly broke out. This is definitely our level. Yesterday, if I just pull this a touch further forward, you can see we came back down and we got close to testing it here at 550. I think maybe today, if we do get a little bit of a sell-off and watch it around this level, around 550, it's definitely an important level. If you looking to get long of this one, this is definitely a place that you probably want to give it a chance, especially if you see it hold and bounce off of 550. So just watch that over the course of the day today. I wouldn't be surprised to see us test there. Mr. Price, you can see finally after the last 3 or 4 sessions broke out above the 166 level, which is where the previous closing high was. It really hung below it the entire day. In the last hour, we just kind of pushed up above it and had quite a strong close there. This thing, I'm not even going to give you guys a target on this thing because it's stupidly high, and what the target would be projected here on the breakout. But regardless, it's a much higher target here at Mr. Price. So just watch it. I think this one, if you were short or playing the short, or going into maybe looking for a double top, or just kind of being caught up in it, it's probably definitely the time to exit shorts here. Grindrod has been in a quite a long descending triangle pattern, and we finally really broke out of this. I mean, we've kind of, depending on how you want to draw this thing, you want to draw it that way, you want to take it back and draw it a little bit more like that. maybe that's probably a little bit more appropriate. We really got our breakout as of yesterday and yesterday's session, and I think that this thing will probably come up and take out highs, which are not far away, up around the mid 28s on a closing basis. I think we can easily get above that with the way this setup's looking. And the last one I'm going to show is CFR. CFR is really approaching this 100 level again. I mean, you could make an argument here that this thing's making almost a little bit of a head and shoulder if you kind of look at it that way with this being the left shoulder, this being the head, and this being the right shoulder. But either way, the action here has been really bearish the last few sessions. It's just traded terribly and underperformed everything in the market. So I think that this test at 100 is really, really key. If we drop out of 100, I think this is actually this could be a really nice setup for a short because it's just underperformed so badly. The action just hasn't been there like it has in the rest of the shares to really give us any, to really give you any confidence to think that we're going to go to the upside. So we dropped to 200-day yesterday. If we drop support at 100, I think this thing can really fall. Probably can come down about $8 or $9. And that's it for today, guys. Thanks a lot.
When are the results tomorrow? Are you expecting about 3%?